this live thing so much. Now, why am I here? Oh, rights. You can't ask for rights. Let me explain to you before we go any further, because a lot of people don't understand this stuff, and that's okay. I understand. A lot of people just don't understand. I didn't understand either. Understanding is a mental process, right? Realization is something you do inside your spirit. We all realize some shit is fucked up because your spirit is usually on. You don't have the education, the mental experience to collaborate what you feel in your spirit, and so you don't understand. But you know something's screwed up, and so you search for it and what it is and all that kind of stuff. But the search is really inside you. So we talk about rights. Let's talk about rights for 10 or 15, a little short while. Rights. We all have the right to live. We came with those rights at birth to you. No one can give rights to you. You're either born with them or you're not. The only right that a man has heard in this rights discussion, when I was learning about the context of rights in this sense of, having rights, one has only the rights that they are willing to protect. You have, when you're born, you have all the rights in the world. You have the right to freedom. You have the right to not be molested. You have all them rights. They all exist for you. Are you willing to protect them? Are you willing to fight for them? Are you willing to defend them? That's what's happening. You're asking somebody rights. We want freedom, right? Give us rights. Can't nobody give you no rights, baby. If somebody giving you rights, they ain't rights. Those are privileges and licenses. Ain't no right in it. I have the right. I know my rights. No, you don't. If you knew your rights, you'd simply exercise them. You don't even have to speak on them. You just simply exercise your rights. We all have rights. I have a right to speak any language I care to. I have a right to move around. I have a right to eat. We have all these rights. I don't have a right to take somebody else's stuff. See? That's where rights pause when you start messing with other people. And that's where it pause when people start messing with you. Rights are the thing that happens when you are born. Don't expect nobody to give you no rights. All this stuff about civil rights and human rights and all them kind of different, that's all the fucking squares. They draw these little squares around you with their little narratives, their little narrative squares around you. And then you live in those fucking squares. Oh, you need to have your human rights. Well, see, you got to have a CCUBBBIOU. You got to have see, well, we got a Congress. We got that's all them squares they drawing around you. None of that stuff is pertinent. None of it matters. Joe Biden, fucking Donald Trump, any of them guys, the president, it don't matter who it is. The congressman, none of that stuff matters. It has nothing to do, absolutely, did I say absolutely nothing to do with you until you allow it to. It has absolutely nothing to do with you until you allow it to. None of that stuff works unless you allow it to. I was just describing the other day that somebody said, oh, they made me do it. No one can make you do a damn thing. You have to decide to do it. You make you do it. No one else can make you. They can threaten you. They can coerce you. They can fucking whatever. But you're the one that must decide to do it. You be like, fuck all this. I'll just do it. Yeah, you must do it. And then you say they made you do it. Oh, the devil made me do it. That was a big thing too. You know, the devil, the knowledge of the devil is the devil. Hmm. Imagine that. Y'all in a trap. They didn't drew a circle, I mean a square, once again, around your narrative, a narrative square around your dumb ass. And I say your dumb ass because they drew it around my dumb ass when my ass was dumb too. And I lived in that square, so I know what the square is. I know the boundaries of it. I know how it's done. I know the trajectory of the square. And I'm telling you, they draw a square around you and you live in it. They draw a square, you say, oh, ain't no devil? No, ain't no devil, man. Those are all comic books. Little Red Riding Hood and the rest of that noise. Now I hear people talking about the Anunnaki and then the Anunnaki and the mm-hmm. I hear people talking about AI and the AI and the, mm-hmm. And so all that stuff is to scare you into thinking you got to beg. You don't have to beg for nothing. You ain't got, hey, man, they ain't got nothing you want. They got what they want. I talked to a Klansman, and the Klansman said, we just don't want y'all to want trying to get our women. And I say, them bitches, I don't want them. I'm not into that. They're not even attractive to that. I mean, I don't see, they're pale. They look flimsy. They're not sturdy, like, you know, they don't even look real. I'd be like, what the fuck is that? You know, there you go. But if you think you're human and you think everybody's the same and you're stupid like that, and you, oh, it's just a matter of color. If it's just a matter of color, why the eyes are different? If it's just a matter of color, why the nose structure is different? If it's just a matter of color, then why is the hair different? If it's just a matter of color, why are the ankles different? If it's different, the boy said the other day, I was listening to him, he said, uh, there's a 2% difference between the DNA of races, 2%, and they said it has to be interjected because of something, I don't know. But what he's saying is 2%. But if you look at an alligator, the DNA percentage of an alligator is not much different. Yeah, not much different at all. It's all about the same, but there are differences, and that's all people be saying. I mean, I'm saying is there are differences, and you know, if you refuse to see that there are differences, then that's your problem. I ain't into that stupid. Can't deal with stupid, but I will deal with the rights. And you don't need no book to tell you your rights. Nothing. You just know. Everybody knows their rights. You know when you're messing up. You know when you're transgressing. You know all of them things. And so now you say, we want human rights. Why? You're not human. We want civil rights. That's only in the society that you're in. It's a society of civility. So them the same people that had you in their society as slaves. And then you asking them, well, look, no, you have to form your own paradigm and live within it with your own people. I put out something, I think it was even a live yesterday. Niggas don't even like niggas. Y'all have learned not to like yourself. Niggas don't like niggas. Nigers. Look it up. I put out a whole thing, and you can look it in the whatever the name of it is called. Cause I'm tired of this nigga shit. Y'all don't even know what niggas is, and y'all saying niggas is something bad. They telling you to say you nasty, And then you're saying you nasty. They draw a little square around your dumb ass and you live in it. I hear some assholes suck his own dick. Oh, I shouldn't be saying all them words, but maybe I should. I see people naked on here. What I'm saying is this. Niggers have a low opinion of niggers. I guarantee you, at this moment, most niggers have a lower opinion of niggers than anyone on the face of this planet. Because why? We're in a square. They have drawn a little square around our dumb ass, and we're living in those little squares. That's why we're fighting in the so-called ghetto. Your ghetto is a Jewish hovel. The Jews came over and owned them little properties y'all niggas living in now. And when you're paying rent and when you bought it, look at the thing and see what the name is that you bought it from. And if you're paying rent, they probably having you pay to a corporation, a corpse that's operating. That's how they do their voodoo. They have corpses that are operating. They call them corporations. And you know, they draw a little square around you, and you live in them corporations, and you work with them corporations, and you don't know them corporations are corpses operating. You don't know who the fuck the people are behind those corpses. They send these corpses out at you. Municipal corporations. Somebody own them corporations. They call them stakeholders. That ain't you. Don't even try to figure out what that means you. You ain't got no stake in that holding. They holding you. To them, you are property. To them, you have always been property from the day of their birth and the day of yours. In their mind, you are property of theirs. They could use, they see you on the street like a rock. Yeah. When they call it tourism. I call it visiting the zoo. And we dance and sing and play little songs. And they give you little peanuts. Here's some peanuts, little zoo animal. They used to have us in zoos and cages and zoos and stuff. And now we talking about, oh, look at that. They got that girl in the cage. Like now they make the whole place a goddamn zoo. Everybody's in the zoo. Don't need a cage. Everybody's in the zoo. We all zoo animals all over the place. You got the zoo animals just walking around. Get out of that, man. Take your life back. Take your rights back. You have rights. You were born with them. Can't nobody give you. Listen, no one can give you rights. No one. No, not your dad, your mother, maybe your own people. They can give you the right to do this and right to do that because they're leaving the thing to you. And so you're inheriting that right. Okay, fine. But no government can give you a right. As people, you must give the government rights. They didn't flip the script on you. Listen to me again. As people, are you people or are you slaves? If you're slaves, you're just property. Are you people? If you're people, then people must give the government rights. The government has no rights without the people. You say, oh, but the government is doing this to us, and the government ain't no government doing nothing to you. It's people. Under the guise of government, and the United States government, the United States government is a corporation. It's a corpse operating. And someone operating that corpse, just like a drone. It's an unmanned drone. Well, it's a manned drone because the government got a lot of people working in it. It's a manned drone. But who owns the drone? Who's controlling the drone? And you fighting the drone, talking about, oh, the government. Come on, you fighting the drone. Who's running the drone? That's who you're fighting. Y'all be tripping, man. And these guys, they got degrees, they got A's. Some of these guys are so damn brilliant. And I don't mean that, I mean that truthfully. These guys are brilliant. I'm surprised how brilliant these people. Well, I'm not really surprised. I know brilliant babies. We are brilliant people. They just in a square. They just won't come out of them little squares. The cracker draw a square around you, and you live in the square. Look at me. I'm talking on here, 16 minutes. I have 0 views and 0 likes, and I'm still talking. Because why? I ain't talking for me. I ain't talking for just views or likes. I'm talking for the integrity of the reality of the cosmos. Rights are not given. You cannot ask for rights. It's like saying, I want a left hand. I got one. What do I want one for? What am I asking for? Well, I want a head. I got a head. Why am I asking for one? You got rights. You don't have to ask for nothing. You can't. Nobody can give you rights. You already have rights. Now, will you defend them? Will you assert them? Will you exercise them? These are the questions. Not whether you have, I don't have any rights, I don't have any power. You keep saying that, and guess what? You don't have a left hand. Convince yourself you don't have a left hand, or you can't use it, or any or whatever that. Huh? Go ahead. I'm gonna tell you something I do on a regular that most people have never done in their entire life. I drive a vehicle with my left foot. I know left-handed people who don't do that. I don't do it all the time. I mean, but I do it sometimes just to throw things up. Man, you got to juggle this stuff up. Otherwise, you'll stay in the square and won't never give up. I was telling people the other day about tricks to separate your mind from yourself. And one of them is simply to count to 100 silently. And you have to do it silently. And you have to go through the entire thing. Your mind will, of course, argue the point, and then you just set it back to the task. And as it's counting, and you're watching it, you realize you that's watching it is yourself, and the mind that's counting is the mind. It's a thing. It came here, like your fingernail. You can cut it off and throw it away. I mean, it's gonna die, like your body. That mind that you depend on. That's why they use you such, because you think you are it. You are not your mind. This is mental slavery, thinking you are it. Like you talk that slave stuff. Well, my parents were slaves. They whatever. It don't matter. My ancestors were prisoners of war. At worse, prisoners of war. We're not criminals. None of us. We're prisoners of war. Anytime we are captured by the corpse in operation, we're prisoners of war. All them people in jail, they're prisoners of war. They put out war rants on them. War rants. War rants. See, they're telling you, listen, man. They tell you 3 or 4 stories at a time, man. But they have to tell, some of that has to be the truth. I mean, nothing stands without truth. That's a done deal. That's why I say we speak truth always. We are in the habit of not speaking truth always, and therefore we are not accustomed to standing. In your standing, you must speak truth always. This is part of the standing, always speaking truth. It doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to speak. You can just be quiet, and that is truth. Silence is truth. So this is where we are. We are in a predicament asking for something we already have. We're in a predicament of not knowing that we have everything we need. And so we feel as though we need something. I don't know where this comes from except a narrative. Hey! Morning to you. I don't know. I have to check. It comes and goes. It comes and goes. Okay. People going to the farm, checking on water. Sometimes we have water, sometimes we don't. Water comes and goes. I have bad water. You gotta go to the spring and get water. So water is not a big problem all the time. I'm sure you just go to the tap and turn on the fluoride machine, and they fluoride you up. I could dig it. It made you lazy because when you have no rights, you have no duties. When you have no rights, you have no responsibilities. When you have rights, you have duties and responsibilities. You got to get up and make stuff happen. That's what having rights means. That's why you're asking people to give you rights, so they can get up and do that thing for you. I said to before, slavery is a slave is a lazy person that depends on another person, is depending on another person to take care of them, another people, whatever you want to call it, to take care of them, make all their stuff, tell them what to do, where to go, how to get there, and all that garbage. That's slavery. Yeah. I was listening to some so-called slave narratives from some PBS, and they telling us about us. Once again, they drawing a narrative, and we live in that little stupid ass narrative they draw. They gonna tell us about us. Oh yeah, tell me about me. I don't know who I am. Please tell me about me. I have no idea. Tell me about my grandmother. Ooh, you know my grandmother? Ooh, tell me about that. I don't know her. I mean, I lived with her for 5, 10 years, but you're gonna tell me about her. I understand. Hmm. And then I'm supposed to believe that. Oh, I see. So the thing about rights is this: you have all the rights you need. Will you defend them? Will you assert them? Will you, what they call it, exercise? Because that's what you actually do, exercise. Rights are to be exercised. If you ain't exercising your rights, you ain't got none. The only rights you have are the ones that you're willing to exercise, to put out in the world, exercise. Not just hold them inside you, but to put them out in the world, exercise, or anyway. Them's rights. As long as you stay inside and be like, oh, I gotta ask them for this, or I gotta get this, or I gotta do this, I gotta, then yeah, there you go. You are impelling yourself. You're holding yourself back from exercising your self creator given right to exist. You have a right to exist just as sure as you were birthed, born, whatever word you want to use. Those are your rights. Human rights ain't got nothing to do with you. Civil rights only has something to do with you if you want to stay inside of a corporation, an operating corpse. You want to be a part of an operating corpse, then you need civil rights. Because in that civilization of that corpse, those are the rights. If you want to have natural rights, which trumps civil rights and human rights, natural rights trump all that. Done. All that is supposed to be born on natural rights. The foundation for civil rights is natural rights. The foundation for human rights is natural rights. Those other rights don't even exist. Those are offshoots. What they call them, you know. Yeah, offshoots. The real rights are natural rights. Sometimes referred to as freedom rights. Sometimes referred to as something about nations or something. But natural rights is what I'm talking about. Under natural law. Natural law, not civil law, not human law, not human rights and all that. Natural rights. That's where we sit. That's where we sit as people. They say aboriginal or something like that. What it means is we're not part of that system. We're part of our own system, natural. We're not in no civil system. We're not in no human system. We're in the natural system. And then we hang out there. We have natural rights. When we hang out in the civil system, that's where you at. Be there or get out. But in the natural rights is where we're at. Those are rights that we are born with. Those are rights that no one can take. Those are rights that we must exercise. Exercise. Yeah, exercise. We must use them. We must utilize those rights. We must express those rights. We must, do it. We must be adults, not just grown people, not grown boys and grown boys and girls, but adults. Adult is another perspective. It don't have the same perspective. A grown person has the same perspective as a child. They just older. An adult has developed a different perspective, and they see life from a different plateau. That's why we had rites of passage. Passage to, what that mean, passage? Fuck the rights of, passage. Passage to what? From one state of being to another state of being. From adolescence, from childhood to adolescence, from adolescence to adulthood, from adulthood to elder. These are stages that we go through. And if you don't go through the change, you're just an old child. People are back. Yeah, no water. Hold on, I'll check. I gotta check the water. Neighbors ask. Hold on, I'll be right back. I'll be there. Hold on, I'm gonna check now. Okay, it's very low. Very low it is. Hey, did that, and I'm back. So, rights. No one can, you can't ask for rights. No one can give you rights. You have to exercise the rights that you already have and deal with natural rights. Forget about that thing, all them social structures. What's that called? Civil rights. That's some social structure. You don't even have to waste your time with that. Human rights. There's another social structure. You don't have to waste your time with that. In fact, and for the record, none of them are going to help you. None of them are not help you. All of them are situated and what they call it, established, screw you over to pull you into that. Like the a lot of people try to come up and find out this thing that I'm telling you now because that's what you're feeling in your heart. Y'all youth them. This is what you're feeling in your heart. Something wrong. You know this stuff because I'm talking to your spirit, your soul, yourself. I don't much talk to the mind. That mind thing is a waste of time. That's why I don't mind talking to no one because I'm talking to spirits. And spirits don't have to hear it with their ears. Minds do. All I have to do is say it, and the spirit will hear it throughout the universe. So what we're dealing with is the youth are coming up and they're putting stuff in our way. They put the Moors bullshit in your way. And there's some information in there that you can use. They put the Muslim shit in your way. And there's some information in there that you can use. They put all them different religious stuff in your way, the Krishnas, the fucking, what they call them other, it don't even matter. They put all that stuff in your way, the Herutites and all that stuff got value to some degree, but it's none of it will lead you home. And what I mean by home is to your spiritual home, not a location in geography. Home is where the heart is. That's inside, not a place, not a physical location. Wherever you go, you're at home. We must realize these things.